I am way too calm for what is about to happen right
When
now.
you wrap it up, you can just smash, smash, smash.
I think it's the best feeling ever, to be honest. I don't think there's a drug or anything that would even top that. And I would love to see my face on one of these cans eventually, you know?
They've actually gotten into some controversy recently about putting faces on cans.
Same company, different beer. You know what's on a Budweiser commercial? A Clydesdale Stallion running through the town. And that's what I like to consider myself, is a Clydesdale Stallion. He tried to kick me in the head too. I think I just have a kickable face.
That's what fighters have, where it's like, that's where they get that zen quality to them.
I can really hear how I sound.
Yeah, you got a great voice. It sounds amazing. You got like a deep voice, you know, a resonant voice.
Yeah.
A voice that'll make the ladies cream their pants. You're recording now? Everything's recording? This is our first podcast in the new studio. Cheers, everybody. In case you don't know, this is Chase Thomas, aka the Fireball Kid. He just won his 4th fight. Congratulations, man. Dude, I watched that video. Insane. Your wrestling skills, your jiu-jitsu skills. You fucking dominated, man. That's amazing.
I like to think of myself as a kickboxer myself, to be honest, but
A kickboxer?
yeah. Some say that I look like Israel Adesanya. I don't know.
Is he like the dark-skinned guy?
Yeah.
I don't think you look like him at all.
I mean, some have said, but I mean, I don't know. I kind of see it.
Okay, I don't see where you get that from. Okay, so my first thing that I was wondering about whenever I was watching that fight. Well, I noticed you walked in and you did like the crawling in like a wild beast, and I was like, he's gonna win. I just knew right then. Anybody who's got the confidence to do that, they're gonna win. But one of the things I was wondering is, so you get him, and then you get this like mount, and you're there punching him in the face, and the ref stops it. Where I honestly was wondering, like I was kind of hoping like we could see a little bit more fight happen. I feel like I knew you would have won even if the ref wouldn't have stopped it and kept going. I mean, like, what do you think about the ref's decision?
I mean, I thought it was a good. I mean, he wasn't intelligently defending himself. He kind of wasn't doing anything. There was 30 seconds left. If the ref didn't stop it, I was about to really start throwing bombs on him. But for the most part, once I got to mount, I was just calm. I was like, these punches are landing. That's points right there. Don't lie. He was real squirmy. Like, I was just trying to kind of keep control and just more I was punching him. I mean, it didn't have to be hard. As long as they're landing, I knew I won the round there with that takedown, got to a dominant position. So, I mean, I would have been down to fight all 3 rounds, you know. That's what I signed up for, but
Yeah. So do you think? So were you like not were you not punching him as hard as what you could when you were in that position, or what was going on?
no, I was more just worried about control. I knew there was short time. Actually, I heard his corner yell out when I first got the takedown. I probably would have been more anxious, but when I heard his corner, when I first got the takedown, they yelled out, "You got 1 minute. You got 1 minute to get up." So I was like, "Oh, I got a minute to work with here." I was like, I can just slow down, stay calm. It's like I'm gonna win this round. I was like, I already took his back. I'm in mount, so I was just trying to really just win the round. I wasn't that worried about a stoppage yet, but when once like they stopped it at like 30 seconds, I knew my time was running low, which probably would have made me start really throwing more like real power shots. But I figured I was going to get the finish as soon as I got the mount.
Yeah, I mean, it was an energetic fight. You guys both ran out there and were like just like throwing right from the very beginning. I mean, that was pretty crazy. You know, like it was like sometimes it feels like people are just testing each other out, but you guys were just like went right into it. I was like, this is an exciting fight.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, a lot of guys I'll do the stare down with. I'll make eye contact the whole time. I think that's real important. And I mean, a lot of my opponents haven't made that eye contact back with me. As soon as my music hit, this opponent, he was turned around, staring at me from the cage as I was walking down the ramp. So I knew he wasn't scared at all or intimidated. I knew he was going to come out pretty hard. Mm-hmm. But usually I'm the guy that comes rushing out and takes the middle, and he came right back at me. I think he ended up actually taking the middle at first. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah. I have two questions about that. So first, what does that feel like when you're walking in there and the person who you're about to fight, who's obviously trained to beat people up, and like that's like they've put a lot of time into that, they're staring you in your eyes, hoping to beat you up. What does that feel like when you're walking into that and you're about to be locked inside a cage with that person?
I think it's the best feeling ever, to be honest. I don't think there's a drug or anything that would even top that feeling. I think the most like when your nerves are going is soon as after they've announced you and that cage door closes. When that cage door closes, it gets real at that time. And it's just like you're waiting on the ref just to say go. And I mean, it's just them seconds right before he's saying go, like that's when it starts sinking in, you know? I mean, I've been real anxious in there, mm-hmm. and been like real like, okay, let's go. I mean, I always run out. I always come at a hard pace, but there's other like there's times where I feel real excited and anxious, and then there's other times where like my third fight, I felt like dead tired walking to the cage.
Really?
Yeah. And I even got in the cage, door locked. I'm like, I am way too calm for what is about to happen right now. I'm like, I kind of need to amp myself up a little bit. But I think that's my coach, Cody Matthews, rubbing off on me. He's the calmest guy ever. He'll nap in the back. I can't ever sleep on fight day, but
he'll nap before a fight?
Yeah, he'll nap.
Wow.
He'll nap in the back when the card's already started.
Really?
Yeah.
That's confidence right there. That's like Zen.
Yeah, well.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if it's confidence or he might just be a psychopath. I don't know.
So the other thing that I was wondering about whenever you're talking about this going into this fight is you're talking about controlling the center. And I've heard that's a strategy with chess. Control the center of the board. Is that a strategy with fighting? Is control the center of the ring?
Depends. It's how I like to do it. I think with my build and my power, it's best for me to come out and put a pace on guys and really make them feel it right off the bat. And I don't like to waste no time when I'm in there, honestly. I like to get right to it. I always like to take the middle. That's when I warm up, like day before, day of. Before people get there, I'll get in the cage and I'll count how many steps I go, like how many steps it takes me to get to the middle, how many steps it takes me when I'm backing up to get to the cage. And I just feel it out. But yeah, as soon as that ref says go, I mean, because he's just nervous as you in there.
The ref or the other guy?
The other guy.
So why would the ref be nervous?
Yeah.
He's not getting punched.
The ref might be nervous. I'd probably be more nervous if I was a ref than a fighter.
Yeah.
People are going to hate you either way if you're a ref.
Yeah. So if you're like in there and you're trying to your strategy being trying to control the center of the cage, is there another strategy where I've noticed with jiu-jitsu where you're like trying to control the center of the person, like when you're grappling?
What do you mean when I'm on the ground?
Like, say for example, whenever you have your arms wrapped around them, like, and you're clenched up, is it your goal to like control, I guess, their core to make sure like they can't move about? Is that like the strategy is what you're trying to do? Because that's what it looked like you were doing. Is like it looked like once you grabbed a hold of him, he couldn't shake you off.
Yeah. Well, I like cage grappling a lot because once you get that control on guys, they're not going to go anywhere. When you're out in the open, it all depends. You can get in some, like, a lot of scrambles out in the open grappling. I had him pinned up against the cage. I got a gift wrap on him, which is where you grab the wrist. I had his wrist planted with my hand so he couldn't block. And as soon as I got him against the cage, though, I knew that I was going to get a takedown eventually. He did grab the cage, though. My suplex would have been a little bit better if he didn't grab the cage.
So the gift wrap is a hold where you're grabbing onto him. For the people who don't know what a gift wrap is, it's where you're holding onto his wrist and you're pretty much using his own arm to trap him. Essentially.
Yeah. I had his arm pinned around him, grabbed up, so he can't use that arm to put over his face to block any punches. But he was a very lengthy guy at the end of the day, so, I mean, it was still a little hard for me to land a little bit. He came out pretty intense. I was not expecting that going in. I knew he was confident, but he was a big underdog going into this, and I wasn't expecting him to really. I thought he was going to be a little more timid than what he was. Head kicks without shin guards though, they're real when they're being thrown at your head. I'll tell you that.
So, yeah, he was kicking at your head a lot.
Yeah. Well, I knew he was going to come out and try and kick my head. Everyone tries to kick me in the head. I must have like a really kickable looking face, honestly. I think it's my height. I don't know, but he got a knockout his previous fight with a head kick beforehand.
Really?
So when you get that knockout a fight before, yeah, knockout's always cool, but you know that guy is going to go out and look for that exact same thing, probably right off the bat. Usually they're going to go to that because their confidence is up. It worked the last fight. Why won't it work this fight, you know?
So it sounds like there's a lot of not just physical training of like, I got to know my techniques. I got to know how many steps there are in the ring. I got to understand the dimensions of the ring. But there's also, I got to understand the psychology of myself and my opponent going into this.
Yeah, it's a lot of a mental game, you know? And honestly, like, fighting's just, it's kind of just dealing with stress. Like, when you get that name and you get that contract signed, well, now you have weeks just think about that one guy. Oh, this guy thinks he can beat me. This guy thinks he's a better fighter than me. Well, now I have this much time to prepare. At the end of the day, it's just going to be me and that guy in there. And, that's why I love the sport. It's, at the end of the day, coaches are really good to have. I have great coaches at Bower House and Ryoma. Cody Matthews and Brent Walter. They've taken my game to places I never even thought I could get to. Like my first day in there, I was like out of shape and stuff. I was up to like 210 pounds at one point after COVID.
Jeez, man, and you're fighting at 145?
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, I did nothing but martial arts for a year, and I end up just losing a bunch of weight.
So how long ago was that whenever you started training?
It was right after COVID. It was beginning of April 2021, I'd say. So, I was supposed to wrestle for Garrett College, and I ended up not doing that. And so, COVID hit. I did what most people did in COVID. I just drank a lot of beer, ate a lot of food.
Speaking of beer, cheers.
Budweiser, king of beers. I will keep shouting you guys out until I get a sponsorship.
You heard that, Budweiser? Chase wants to have a sponsor. In case people don't know, there's actually a nickname that you have too, right? Regarding Budweiser. What do they call it?
My Instagram tag is _Chaseweiser_. Great nickname.
Yes, it's a great nickname.
And I would love to see my face on one of these cans eventually, you know?
You know, they've actually gotten into some controversy recently about putting faces on cans. That company.
No, that was Bud Light. I mean, it was the same company. Same company, different beer. You know what's on a Budweiser commercial? A Clydesdale Stallion running through the town. And that's what I like to consider myself, is a Clydesdale Stallion sometimes, you know?
It's like two, I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, it is. It's like two different sides of the same coin, though. You know, like it is the same company, a different beer, but it's the same. It is the same beer, though, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bud Light was never the king of beers. Let's be honest.
Do you think Bud Light would be the queen of beers?
There's something. I'm not sure what Bud Light prefers to be called gender-wise, honestly.
It's just a dangerous topic. What would Miller Lite be called? What do they call it? Just a fine Pilsner?
A good light beer.
A good light beer. Do you ever drink Miller Lite?
I mean, if I'm going light beer, yeah, I'd say Miller Lite is probably the best. I mean, I used to drink Keystone because Keystone, always smooth. And it's also $17 30-pack. You can't beat that.
You really can't. So you started training. That's really not a long time to be. That's not a long time to be training. From like what 2021, you started training. 2 years. That's not like that's a really surprising amount of time to get good so fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I started MMA in 2021, but I had wrestled my entire life, which really helps, especially when you're making that transition to jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I mean, wrestling is probably the best base you could have, in my opinion, for martial arts. I mean, takedowns. My first, like, actually every jiu-jitsu tournament I've done, basically I went on point. I'm taking these guys down and just holding them there.
So you were doing jiu-jitsu tournaments before you were fighting into the cage?
Yeah. At Ryoma Academy, Brent has a role where he wants to see you compete in a striking match of some sort, and he wants to see you compete in grappling of some sort. And
before you get into the cage.
Yeah, before they want you to step in there. Yeah. I mean, I've boxed a tough dude. He think he has every belt in the state of Kentucky and West Virginia at this point. I see him posting all the time.
Jesus. So you boxed that guy. How did that turn out?
I lost by decision. It was I mean, he beat me. I don't think it was that close, really. I mean, he's a good boxer. His name's Brendan Kelly. Real big, rough and rowdy guy. I mean, I was exaggerating when I said he has every belt in West Virginia and Kentucky, but I see him post, and he's got a lot of belts at this point, man.
So, I mean, he's pretty skilled.
I think he fights every weekend at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that too. Like, from that fight to the one that you just did, which is out on YouTube now. So if anybody is curious about, and they haven't seen that, and they want to know, like, check that out. Chase is an exciting fighter. It's that boxing fight is out on YouTube too, right?
Yeah. All my stuff's out on YouTube.
Yeah, so I mean, from that, the first one to now, massive difference. That's just like so impressive to see, like, you going against someone who's like, that guy was a tough guy. He's coming out there, he's coming out mean, and then it seemed like everything just kind of switched, and then now you're that tough, mean guy coming out where, not saying that you weren't the tough, mean guy at the beginning, but it's like you're transforming. It's like a phoenix or something, you know?
Yeah, like a peacock.
Yeah, like a peacock. That's another nickname you got.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why my coach has the role of doing a striking and a grappling match, because he wants to get you comfortable when you're under that pressure and you're in competition situations. I mean, that boxing fight.
I'm gonna scoot this over a little bit so I can see you a little bit
You're
better.
good,
It's
man.
kind of blocking your face. Sorry.
But yeah, that boxing fight, that was my first ever experience, really, and competition-wise, getting punched in the face, you know? So, I mean, I look back, man, I hate, like, do not, guys, if you go to watch any of my fights, do not watch that boxing fight, because that is my least favorite one on there. I mean, I was just green, and I froze up. He would overwhelm me with punches, and I would freeze up. I still wasn't comfortable on my feet. I was just uncomfortable in there. But
I mean, I think that's nice though for people to go and watch that though, because then they could see your progress and see you've been working. You know, like everybody's got to start somewhere, and the fact that you went out there and did it, even though it's like a challenge, I mean, that really says something. Because I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
yeah, but if you're gonna go look at one of my fights, do not go look at the only one that I have lost. Like.
Yeah. Start off with now, and then work your way back to build up the full library of the Chaseweiser fight cards.
Yeah, they should take that boxing fight off YouTube, to be honest. As far as I'm concerned.
No, man. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody's going to start somewhere. So you started off with wrestling, but what made you want to go in and fight? Was it like just after COVID, you're like, I need something to do other than drinking? What was it that made you want to go and like? That's just the kind of. Honestly, it sounds like a crazy thing to want. It seems like cool to want to train to fight, but want to train to fight against other people who are training to fight you. It's hard to wrap my mind around that.
Yeah. I mean, once I got out of COVID, I was real out of shape, and I was always a good wrestler, so I just wanted something, man. I needed something to get me in shape, get me back up to, like, just feeling like myself again. And, I mean, Cody Matthews, that's my boy. He's my coach, cornered me every single one of my fights. I knew he had a lot of success in MMA. And actually, I remember I was at his one fight live when I was in high school, when he knocked out George Billy at Cowboy Fight Series. And so I always thought, like, when I seen that in high school, it was always in the back of my mind that I really would like to do that one day. Never thought I actually would, but then it was always on my bucket list. Like, I'll at least take one cage fight in my life, you know? And I was like,
a hell of a thing for a bucket list. Hell
yeah. I was like, win or lose, you know, like, I'll at least take one. And then, I mean, leading into my first MMA fight, I'm an 0-1 boxer, but you guys can't hate on me because Conor McGregor is also an 0-1 boxer. And, I mean, that's a pretty prestigious record as far as I'm concerned. But,
yeah, isn't Logan Paul like a 0-1 boxer or something like that, too?
I don't know. I don't keep up with the Pauls, man.
Well, you seen the fight against Nate Diaz? Did you see that one?
I seen a little bit of it. Man, I just wish that these boxers would fight MMA fighters in a cage instead of the MMA fighter having to box. But I know it don't make sense for them, man. There's more money in boxing.
Yeah, I mean, but do you really think that would be any bit fair at all for a boxer to fight an MMA fighter? I mean, I feel like a boxer fighting an MMA fighter in a cage, the boxer's just going to get smashed.
Yeah, I feel like that it kind of takes away, like, the credit of these MMA fighters who are, like, could kill these guys on the street if they ran into them. I think it just, like, kills the reputation a little bit when they're getting beat by these boxers. People who don't know about fighting really well will be like, oh, well, he beat him, you know? So, like Jake Paul beat Nate Diaz, so Jake Paul's tougher than Nate Diaz. No, like Nate Diaz is a MMA legend, and if they met on the street, Nate Diaz would probably kill Jake Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's a risky move for Nate Diaz because there's not a whole lot to win and a whole lot to lose. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, does it seem that way? Am I misreading the situation?
No. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. There's a lot to lose there, but, you know, Jake Paul pays his opponents very well, better than the UFC pays.
He's getting a reputation for winning against these fighters now, and it's kind of weird how much money they could make. It's really just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, boxing, I feel like with me and my coach talk about this all the time. With MMA, we're kind of like where football was in the 70s right now. Like, we're still a newer sport coming along, so I feel like as we start to evolve, fighters will get paid what they're supposed to. But we're still a new sport right now, and I mean, I don't think that MMA fighters get paid enough, but I also think that I mean, if you want MMA fighters to get paid, how about you actually make it hard for guys to go pro? Literally anyone can go pro. It doesn't mean that they're a good fighter or anything. I mean,
what does that? So what does that mean for a fighter to go pro?
Basically, all that means is you're listed as a pro and you make money. You get guaranteed money when you fight. And literally anyone can go pro. Like, man, there's some really bad pros out there, but there's some really high level. I think, like, I consider myself a high level amateur, but I see these guys going pro that are like, I'm definitely a better fighter than, like.
Is there anybody in particular you're thinking of?
Nah, not anybody in particular, but I think the people who don't have good coaches and good gyms.
This episode of the Elijah Thane podcast is sponsored by Ryoma Academy of Martial Arts, located in Frostburg, Maryland. Ryoma offers Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts training that caters to all skill levels. Whether you want to compete or just want to get into shape, Ryoma has a program for you. At Ryoma, it's not just about physical training, it's about personal growth, discipline, and building confidence. Don't miss this chance to join a community of people who are committed to improving themselves, both mentally and physically. So if you're ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation, head over to their website at ryomaacademy.com to learn more and schedule your first class. That's RYOMA Academy.com. And now, back to the podcast.
I lucked out because I have good resources around me. I have 2 very good gyms. I have very high-level coaches. I mean, coming from even the small town of Lonaconing, there's another MMA fighter who's better than me. Even he fought on Bellator, and he happens to be my coach, like Cody.
That's insane. It's really insane the amount of good fighters that there are in this area because it's such a small town. Why do you think that is, that there's so many good fighters from this area?
I think it's Lonaconing, man. Some call it Dagestan, Maryland.
What is that?
Well,
what is Dagestan?
Where you never heard of Dagestan, where like Khabib and
no, I never heard
Islam and all their teams from? Man, Dagestan.
Yeah, educate me. What is Dagestan? It's a place.
It's a place in Russia.
Ooh.
Where it's all just killers come out of there. And, you know, people don't, I mean, not a lot of people call it yet. Dagestan yet. Right now, it's just me that calls it Dagestan, Maryland. But it's going to catch. It's going to catch.
You know, they're going to say Lonaconing, the home of Chase Thomas.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully. I'm still in a shadow, though. I'm in shit. I gotta get on Bellator, you know.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a statue of Cody, though. They might give me like a good job, man. You know.
They need a statue of Cody on the steps of the city hall, like how they have Rocky style, like a statue of Cody with like the glove up like that. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
They need to put like right next to the little Lefty Grove in Lonaconing. They have like the little Lefty Grove, the one famous baseball player from there that like everybody in the town's obsessed with. They have a little park dedicated to him. They just need to put like one for like the other young people coming up. Put a little park there. That'd be cool.
They need to do a statue of me like on top of the furnace or something with like peacock wings, like, watching over everybody.
Dude, how crazy is that out of all the good boxers that came out of Philadelphia, that they put Sylvester Stallone as the statue of like the go-to boxer.
Yeah, a guy who acted to be. I mean, hey, I'm a fan of the Rocky movies, though.
Dude, me too. Those are like some of the coolest fight movies you could ever watch when you're little. I mean, like even when you're older too. But I mean, the first time I saw the Rocky movies, I was just amazed, and I wanted to be a boxer. And then after getting punched in the face a couple of times, I realized it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I mean, shit, being punched in the face, that's brain conditioning, bro. I always joke with people. The more you get hit in the head, more conditioned your brain is, so you're not going to get knocked out,
True. Now, are you concerned at all about your brain in the future? From getting punched in the face? Yeah, sure. Thank you, Marley. Hey, is that other camera working?
Yeah, it's on the regular battery right now because the dummy battery died.
The dummy battery died? I guess that's why they call it a dummy battery.
It's recorded 26 minutes so far though. So.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. You could work it, and zoom in and stuff too. But thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, where were we? Okay, yeah, we were talking about Rocky, boxers. So do you watch boxing a lot?
I'm not big into watching boxing. I don't know. I watch a lot of MMA. I like Gervonta Davis. I think he's pretty cool, and he represents Maryland, so I really like that. Lomachenko's a savage. His story's actually pretty, like, different than everyone else. His dad told him, when he told his dad that he wanted to box as a kid, his dad put him in, like, some dancing class or some shit. And he's got the quickest footwork and stuff in boxing right now. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I like Lomachenko a little bit. I think it's a little weird that he was a dancer, but, everybody's got their own thing going on,
I mean, there's something about that footwork, though, where it really can, like... That was a part of Rocky. Like, it was that Rocky 3 where they have him like going with Apollo Creed. He's like, man, you got to work on your footwork. They start playing some different type of music, and then they go out to the beach. They're doing their runs and stuff. And then he goes back and beats. Who was the guy who Mr. T played? Do you remember his name? Oh man, Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
Man, dude, those movies were good movies.
It's actually funny you said that about the footwork, like with the music. Because me and my coach, Cody, we go back and forth all the time because I'm like, man, like if any like feminine song plays or something in the gym, I'm like, Cody must be on aux. Because, man, this guy has the most feminine playlist that you would ever see.
Like what type of songs? Like what type of artists?
All right, I will say this. For my one fight, I think it was my second fight, I'm sitting in the like portable sauna cutting weight, suffering. He's playing Lizzo. Like, yeah, like blasting it through the speakers while he's like over there hitting the bag. I'm like, I'm just like dying, cutting weight. I'm like, man, I really do not want to be listening to Lizzo right now,
Yeah. What type of music do you like to listen to when you're working out, when you're training?
I listen to all sorts of stuff. Actually, I've been taking Cody's advice a little bit because I'm always making fun of him for his music. He's like, well, that's why you have slow footwork. He's like, that's why, and that's why his is so good, yeah.
So yeah, what all types of music then? Like slower stuff?
Well, I'm never usually on aux when I'm in the gym. If you're in Ryoma Academy, most of the time Brent Walter will be on aux, so you'll listen to a ton of Action Bronson. I think that I have every single Action Bronson song memorized at this point, just from Brent.
Action Bronson, dude. I don't know who Action Bronson is.
Oh, he's pretty good, actually.
What
He's pretty
style
good.
of music is it?
It's rap. I found I mean, it don't really matter the genre for me, but if I'm really striking and stuff, I like a real like fast beat, like rap.
Yeah,
I
I used to
listen to
work
a lot
out
of
with
rap.
Lil Wayne a lot.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. Birdman, like the old Young Money stuff. You ever worked out with that?
Yeah, man. I'm a big Slipknot guy. I like a lot of stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But I've learned when I listen to that, it makes me too tense when I'm sparring, and you want to.
Ah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
gotta listen to stuff that actually calm me down a little bit and like make me looser and stuff. Cause
what about Disturbed? You ever listen to them work out? That's one of my favorite workout bands too.
yeah,
Because they have like the melody too, to where it's not like Slipknot's maybe a little bit more tense than Disturbed. Disturbed has that like just enough melody to where you can kind of relax, but you could also get pumped up too.
yeah, man, I like all music. Like, if you went through my music app, I got everything from like, let's say like Hank Williams Jr. to like Bob Marley to you probably never even heard of like Shabazz or like
I've never heard of Shabazz. I've heard of Bob Marley though.
or King Von. King Von, I was a big fan of.
You ever work out the dubstep?
Yeah, I actually don't mind dubstep. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, especially when you're hitting like bag rounds and stuff, I think it keeps your feet moving pretty quick for the most part.
Dude, I discovered a whole new genre of music this year. Have you ever heard of Big Dub?
That's close to like dubstep, isn't it? Like it's kind of similar.
Well, no, Big Dub's a festival.
Oh yeah.
You ever heard of it? It's
Now that you said it, yeah.
yeah, like out in Artemis, PA.
Yeah.
Dude, so we went there, and I listened to maybe some like Excision, some Skrillex, and but that was like a while ago, and I didn't really know too much about dubstep. And so this festival, it's all different types of dubstep, like house, trance, trap, all these different types. Like it's just an entire world, all these different like stuff that's very chill, stuff that's very like whoa, like just like groovy. They got some stuff that's intense, like I've never heard before in my life. Like the last night blew my mind how intense the music was. Because I've been to some metal concerts before. The metal concert headbangers have nothing on the dubstep headbangers. It was so intense. And so after I got back, I made a dubstep playlist, and I'll have to send it to you after this. It is the best workout music I've ever found. It's guaranteed to add 10 pounds to your bench press. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But dude, the festival was crazy though. It was because we went to Delfest right before. That's where we painted this one.
Yeah, that was down here in Cumberland, wasn't it?
Yeah. We went to Delfest. It was a bluegrass festival. Are you into bluegrass at all?
Yeah, I mean,
You are?
I mean, I consider Tyler Childers bluegrass a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Marley introduced me to Tyler Childers. He is good.
Yeah, I really like him a lot.
He reminds me of the new guy who just came out. Have you heard of...
Anthony Oliver.
No, the brand new one. Richmond, north of Richmond. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, that's or is it Oliver Anthony? Or,
Yes.
Yeah, Anthony Oliver.
He just
Oliver
blew
Anthony.
up.
Yeah, I can't remember which. He's got two first names, you know. I can't remember which one goes first.
I think it's Oliver Anthony. Yeah, he's got the music video where he's just sitting there in the woods with his dog. Dude, so the first time I heard that song, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go down and show it to Marley. I showed it to Marley. I like kind of teared up a little bit. I was watching. I was like, oh my God, he's really speaking to me here, you know? It was amazing. But so yeah, we went to Delfest. The bluegrass just wasn't like, I was like, I don't really know if this is our scene, you know? Like it's cool, but then we went to this Big Dub, and so you camp out in the woods, so it's like kind of immersive, and they have all these different stages, and it's like thousands of people just camping out in the woods, and they have the whole entire forest set up with like art installations and lights, and they got like like jellyfish and octopus hanging down from the sky, and like all these different like glowing flowers and lasers and all different. It's like very, very immersive. It's like a very trippy environment. And I was like, it was like almost a little bit too much. I was like, I kind of like just want some peace and quiet because the music's just going nonstop. The quiet hours are from, I think, what are the quiet hours for, Marley?
5 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty ridiculous time for quiet hours, 5 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Well, I've seen it, man. I have seen people at it. Like, it looks like a good time. It looks like a huge party,
It was the hugest of parties. And then the last night we heard this band, the DJ was called Company. It was like magic. He just had everybody headbanging so hard. The whole entire place was just like pulsating with energy. After that, I was like, this is my workout music from now on until I get tired of it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you like be hitting bags or anything like that, but yeah, I've learned that genre of music really helps like make your footwork quicker and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I hit some bags a while ago, and it's been a very long time. But I've noticed that if I got to hit bags and I haven't hit them in a while, that like it'll make like my tendons sore and stuff. Have you ever noticed that? Like, is there like a toughness that you have to build up in your arms? Because like I feel like if you like sometimes I'll hit it and I'll go just like punch it maybe for like a half an hour and then haven't punched them in a while, and then like the next week, it'll be like shin splints on my forearms.
Do you wear gloves when you're hitting them?
No.
Try that. Yeah, I don't.
What you need?
Yeah, well, I never
doing it wrong.
I'll never hit stuff without gloves. Really, even with little gloves, like on the bag. Like I'm calling Cody out. He's got sensitive hands. He won't hit a bag with little gloves on ever. He's always got to do boxing gloves. But
so I wonder why would you the thing with gloves on if you're gonna go in there? Wouldn't you want to like wouldn't you want to try to like have it to where you're hitting it with like maybe bare knuckles? That way you're really tough. Whenever you go in there and you put the gloves on, you're like extra strong.
I don't feel like there's any knuckle conditioning or anything,
You don't really need to condition your knuckles for a fight.
No.
They wrap it up, protect it pretty well for you.
Yeah. Brent Walter, best hand wrapper I know, honestly. But I mean, there is times like I never wrap my hands in training, and my coach Cody, he always gets on me. He's like, you should really wrap your hands, because I mean he's broke his hand. That's why he hits bags with like bigger gloves, more padding and stuff, because he's like broke his hand, and like his hands are like, he's old, you know how it is. He's getting up there.
I'm sure. I think he's like our age, right?
He's like he's 25, maybe 26.
You're calling him old, dude. That's not old. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Yeah, sure.
I'm hoping
No,
you say
for
you're
real.
21 because you're drinking alcohol here.
For
Everybody
real,
that
hey.
see Chase's ID.
Hey, I just had to hunt down my birth certificate today, man. Like, I can show it to you after we leave here.
We'll put it up.
Hold up.
On the thing.
Am I getting carded here?
No, I'm just fucking with you. I know you're 21, bro. All right, you see that, everybody? He's 21. All right, we're gonna have to blur that out. Someone's gonna steal your identity.
I don't know who the hell would want to.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah. So yeah, that's the crazy thing. So when they wrap up your wrists, it's like they're turning your hand into a cannon for mashing people's face in. Because like the wrist is so vulnerable, and when you wrap it up, you can just smash, smash, smash. And then you don't have to worry about your wrist getting broken.
Yeah, I mean, fighting does create a little bit of like not unrealistic, but like I mean, if you're just used to the gloves all the time, you do believe that you can hit stuff a lot more harder without gloves than what you normally. I mean, than what normal people would think that don't ever train with gloves on or anything.
Because the gloves are there to actually protect your hand, not the person's face.
Yeah, I throw hard when I'm in the cage. If I don't know if my hand would hold up if I threw as hard as I do in the cage without gloves or my hands wrapped or anything. But I think the hand wrapping actually is how you were talking about here. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to keep that more stable, honestly. The gloves, they just kind of help your knuckles and stuff, I'd say.
Because it's so easy to break your knuckles on somebody's forehead. If someone ducks and you hit someone right there in the forehead.
Yeah, and I throw a lot of overhands, so my knuckles will hit weird on guys. I'll even feel it through big gloves sometimes, but I mean, I like it though.
Have you ever had like a oh shit moment, like where you hit and like maybe your hand hit weird or anything like that in a fight or in training?
No. I mean, I'll stove my thumb up here and there if I'm throwing overhands, but nah, my hands are good. I'm still in my prime, man. Still young.
So if that happens like, say for example, like, you know, like, okay, you're playing basketball, you stub your finger, maybe you're like, hey coach, put me out, put this other guy in, I gotta ice it, I'll come back next game. You can't do that in a fight. No. What's your strategy for like dealing with these, anything could happen, the other person could do anything, I could, you know, have something extremely painful happen that's like hard to how do you prepare for something like that?
Well, if I watch film on guys, I mean, my last fight was a little weird to prepare for because I felt like I was more skilled in basically every area he wanted to go. But he was one of them guys that he might throw out something crazy here. Like he might throw a flying knee or he might do some crazy jumping spin kick or something. He's real lengthy, so I had to be...
You're allowed to throw knees in these fights?
In Kentucky, yes. You can always knee to the body. In my fights beforehand when I was in West Virginia, and but you had to have shin guards if you did not have 3 fights under your belt. Mm-hmm. So for Kentucky, there's no shin guards at all required, and the only thing you can't do is just elbow to the face in it. Which, you know, I'm ready to elbow people in the face. I think it'd be a pretty cool feeling.
Are you ready to get elbowed in the face?
Yeah, that's the other thing that I.
That's the other side of that coin, bro.
Yeah, because I mean, man, as soon as you get hit with that elbow, you know you're getting cut open. Honestly, that's what cuts guys open the most. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't know if this guy, then the way he was staring me down, I didn't know if he was gonna come out flying knee me or whatever. So I was ready for anything, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, well, if he flying knees me, I'm just gonna get out of the way and I'm just gonna wrestle him. I didn't want to wrestle, even though I have a wrestling background.
Why would you not want to wrestle if you have a wrestling background?
Because I like to show people that I can strike. But I felt like, he got me chasing him around the cage in this fight. And there was a time where I slipped a little bit and we went into the cage. And I'm like, man, this definitely looks like it's going his way right now. So I'm like, I'm just going to win the round. Like, I will wrestle if I need to and I feel like I'm losing. It depends on the fighter, though. I feel like him, compared to the guy beforehand, the guy that I fought beforehand was a very talented, brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So I knew what he wanted to do, and I felt like he took that fight because he thought that I was just a wrestler.
So he probably wanted, since he was so good at jiu-jitsu, he probably wanted to get you to the ground.
Yeah, and a lot of his wins are just crazy, flying subs. I mean, first round, guillotine, arm bar, you know. And, he came out. He tried to kick me in the head, too. I think I just have a kickable face, like I was saying. But I mean, I could tell, like, I think that with his experience, I mean, he was 31 or 32. His first MMA fight was when I was in, like, 3rd grade. And
That's insane.
yeah, I feel like
So he had so much experience.
he had the skill and the experience, but I didn't think he had the confidence. Like when I was doing my like stare down, he would not look at me. He would just look at the ground the whole time.
That's a bad sign for him.
Yeah. And I mean my last opponent after I fought him, my latest opponent, he's even younger than me actually, and I think that he has potential. I just think where he lives, he doesn't have the resources and stuff that I do, and I don't think he has the background that I did. So I don't think he had the skill as the guy that I fought beforehand, but he had the confidence. And he was ready to go, I could see it in his eyes, like, this was his time right there, like, he had never been in a title fight before, he wanted that belt bad, and, feel like guys like that are like the dangerous ones, the ones that like you don't know how to prepare for. Because when I look at my opponent beforehand, who's like got a background, like a long background, I know he's a brown belt, a lot of subs. I know how to game plan then. I know exactly what to go for. This guy that I just fought, he had 2 fights, and I think he did something different in both of his fights. I didn't watch the first one really because it was a while ago, but I mean, he just came out so unorthodox. I had no idea what to prepare for. I feel like those are the more tougher fights, honestly,
Yeah, it makes me think of Conor McGregor. I mean, that's like, he just comes, like, whenever he was doing his first fights, he just came out and he was like a wild animal. And he was like a wild animal crossed with like a Bruce Lee sort of figure, where it's like he just like off the wall, just crazy sort of moves.
Yeah. Prime McGregor is the best. Like when he was knocking out Jose Aldo, Chad Mendez, man, that was the best version of McGregor in my opinion.
Have you seen the documentary? I think it's called Invincible on Netflix. Is that what it's called, Marley? Invincible, the one that we watched. I know they came out with a new one. I haven't seen.
You talking about the McGregor? Yeah. I watched a lot of that.
They're showing him training.
The like 4-episode series or whatever.
No, the old one.
Oh, the Notorious. The Notorious.
Yes,
yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, watching him, he's trained and he's like in this little like it's like a rundown sort of gym, and he's like, man, I got it's like whatever their version of the IRS is, like knocking on his door, and then he goes, bang, gets a check for $60,000, blows up.
Yeah, for real. He came out of nowhere too. He's taken just the sport, just with his career. If you look at how many people paid attention to MMA before Conor McGregor, I guarantee you the people after all the stuff that he's done, there is twice as many fans and stuff, And I mean, he's still one of my all-time favorites. I don't want to sound like a casual because that's like the most known fighter for most people.
What's a casual?
A casual is someone who acts like they watch MMA, but they actually don't. They just keep up with like the most popular guys,
That's me. I'm a casual. I don't watch MMA. I just watch the big name fights, and that's it. No, but okay, I do like, I have studied a little bit of the MMA history though, because I was really into because like whenever I first discovered jiu-jitsu, I was really into like the Royce Gracie and the first UFCs. And I mean, jiu-jitsu really changed my life. Yeah, it really did.
I actually feel like the first like MMA events, man, if you look at that, that's when jiu-jitsu got huge because people are like, this guy can just get beat up and put somebody in a choke and end up winning a fight. Like, fighting off the back, I feel like that's intriguing to a lot of people.
I mean, that's when jiu-jitsu got proven to be like, because before that, it was always like hypothetical. Could this guy beat that guy? Could this guy beat that guy? And it was always like, what, it's like so wishy-washy, and like there'd be all these people claiming like, my martial art is far superior to theirs. This like settled it. It's like, oh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the way to go. And that actually like changed even Chuck Norris. Like after Chuck Norris went and rolled with the Gracies, he's like, I'm learning Jiu-Jitsu. These guys are like tossing me around, like it's insane how much Jiu-Jitsu changes the fucking game. It's really amazing.
And it's crazy how much the sport's grown with like just watching like Royce Gracie was fighting with a gi on. Like imagine going into the cage with a gi on. You don't have to wear gloves, no weight classes and stuff. And I mean no weight classes. He's in there submitting guys twice his size, which like shows jiu-jitsu like works. I think in a street fight, I wouldn't recommend pulling guard, but a guy who knows jiu-jitsu versus a guy who knows nothing is probably gonna come out on top.
Yeah, hands down. They had no gloves, hardly any rules, and no time limit, no rounds. You just go till it's over with. That's exhausting. That's brutal, and that's like the closest to how it actually would go in real life. There would be people in there with shoes on.
Yeah.
And like, remember the one guy would come in with one hand with a boxing glove and the other hand was like bare knuckle. Do you remember that guy?
Yeah.
What was his name?
I ain't gonna remember that.
You ever seen like the Ken Shamrocks, and like have you seen the Pride fights?
Oh yeah.
The ones over in Japan. Those ones were brutal. People were getting slammed on their heads and like soccer kicked and.
Have you ever seen the Don Fry versus I can't remember the other guy's name.
I've seen some Don Fry fights. Yeah, I see. Those are the ones that for some reason once they start playing, I haven't even finished this one, Marley. Oh my god.
Hey, I'll take one.
Marley's like trying to get us lit. Here, let's we could just set some of these down over here.
I thought it'd be cool to pyramid.
Oh, a pyramid.
Yeah, we can pyramid.
Okay, I'll just set it down there right now. That way you can have some space.
You give me a Miller, that's gonna kill my sponsorship.
I'll take a Miller. Sorry, Budweiser. Okay, you can still sponsor Chase. I'll keep that over here.
I got beers in my cooler too.
That's all right.
It's all good. Drink mine. You're the guest.
Well, shit, you ain't gotta tell me twice to drink your beer, man.
Yeah. Save your beer for another day. Save it for a rainy day. Would you ever do a bare knuckle fight?
Yes.
You would?
Yeah, immediately.
Yes.
I would accept. Yeah.
Yes.
I
want to
mean,
see that. I want to see that.
I would. I feel like not right now. I feel.
Understandable.
Yeah. I mean, if you go bare knuckle, yeah, I like the thought of bare knuckle and stuff, but you can't ask for a long career.
Yeah.
And my coaches always drill my head. They're like, this is a marathon, not a sprint, And they even get on me. Like, my coach Brent, he gets on me all the time. He's like, you can't go full speed every day all the time and expect not to come out, like, with no injuries or tweaks and stuff. He's always on me. He's real big on not being overtrained. Brent will get, man, he's like my nutritionist. He's like everything. Like, he's got me on a workout right now I'm supposed to do when I go on this cruise tomorrow. He's got me, I'm going to have to do it like 3 times in the week. It's like kettlebells and...
How do you bring... Oh, they have a gym on the cruise ship. I'm like, how do you pack a kettlebell onto a cruise ship?
Oh, believe me, he finds ways. Everywhere we go.
He's committed.
Everywhere we go, he's up early in the morning. He's got a portable kettlebell that I don't know how. I don't even ask questions, man. But it's
He's is his nickname the Bull Shark?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't question the Bull Shark.
Yeah.
yeah, man. So the thing that I find really cool about like the bare knuckle fight is I like the bare knuckle fights where they don't have the wrist wrap. Because then they have to be precise. They can't just go in there and swing like crazy because if you swing like crazy, you're going to break your knuckle, you're going to break your wrist. So it's like, it's calculated. It's like chess or something, you know? It's like, it's not as brutal as what people would think. I think it's maybe even a little bit more humane, I would argue. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like bare knuckle wise, when you get hit with knuckles, you are going to be cut open. Like, you're going to be more prone to being cut open. And, I mean, getting hit with a bear, I mean, if you...
Getting hit with a bear.
Like a bear, I mean, a bare knuckle. But getting hit with bare knuckles, like a bare fist, I mean, you can even see the difference when you go from 16-ounce sparring boxing gloves to that 4-ounce MMA glove, you know? Like, I'll forget that I have power a lot when I'm just sparring guys constantly with big gloves, because that's when I can, like, use my power. And then once I put them little gloves on, I'll hit a guy with my left hand. Well, I see they're either hurt. I either hurt guys, they change, like, they just change their demeanor. They don't want to come at me, or they drop, like, and I'll remember, like, my second fight when I dropped a guy, I remember I was just like, oh shit. It was like,
there's bombs in here.
Yeah. That was my first ever knockout, and I'm like, man.
Dude, what does that feel like to knock somebody out?
Honestly, I was not expecting it at all. I just seen him drop, and then I just started punching him in the face. I was like, I'm going to get a finish, because I was just coming on my first fight. It was my second fight.
It's a surprise for both of you?
Oh, well, I imagine he was pretty shocked, yeah. I don't think he's seen that coming, you know. If he's seen that coming, I don't think he would have agreed to step in there.
No, you had this wrestling in school, so you had a good outlet. Did you ever get into a fight in high school?
I wouldn't consider any of, like, I mean, I've been in, like, scuffles and stuff, but, I mean, I wouldn't really consider any of them, like, a fight, really, or anything like that. I mean, besides, I mean, I used to, like, be real high energy and stuff all the time when I'd go out, but MMA has really changed my whole demeanor. Now when I'm out, I'm just like, man, I get punched in the face every day. Like, I don't want... When I'm out to drink, I just want to sit there and chill.
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to get into fights now. I was just curious if like you had an experience where maybe you had gotten beat up or something, and that's why you had wanted to fight, or you know, like to learn how to defend yourself.
Never got beat up. I mean, I have been beat up, but by trained fighters. Like,
Yeah.
Brent really beats me up a lot, but. I mean, I was an angry kid, and I feel like, I just felt like I always have a lot more energy than, like, your average person, like, just anger and stuff. So, like, I feel like that's why I needed to do combat sports all the time, because I get that out. If I'm pissed off at the world, you know, I go to train, I come back, I'm fine. I forget whatever I was mad about, you know.
Yeah. So, how young were you when you noticed that you felt like an anger problem?
Probably about... I mean, I've always had a temper, but probably about 13 or 14, I realized, like, I'm an angry kid, you know.
What was it that set that like made you realize that you had an anger problem?
Just, I mean, just being mad all the time, like, waking up for school, my... like, slightest things, like, pissing me off, and I'm like, my whole day's ruined over it, just, like, being mad all the time. And, like, wrestling, I was always cutting weight too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, cutting weight makes you very, like, a lot more irritable too. So I'd be, like, very on edge all the time. And I just, like, I loved wrestling. Honestly, I don't mind cutting weight either, but I just knew I was, like, more angrier than your average person, And now that I do this, now that I do MMA, I just feel real calm all the time, you know?
Yeah, Marley and I were talking, and I was like, man, fighters seem so chill, and I didn't really know you too well before you were a fighter. I hadn't really known you, but I was like, Chase is he's got this casualness, this nonchalantness about him that I was like, man, it's admirable, you know, like
Yeah.
to have that calm energy. And I've noticed that about a lot of fighters is that they have that calmness, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, a good example is honestly my coach, Cody Matthews. Like, if you were just to have a random conversation, like never met him or anything,
You'd never guess he's a killer,
yeah, if
right?
they should have something where they take all these MMA fighters and people, like random people who don't know fighting, have to guess what they do for a hobby or a living. I guarantee you, you can interview 100, or you can survey 100 people to get what Cody Matthews does. 100 out of 100 are not saying MMA fighter.
Yeah, you probably think like an overly aggressive person, like someone who's just like, you know, like really. But it's weird though, because those people don't really even seem to last in an MMA gym, because like, what do they say? It's better to enter like a sheep and leave like a lion than to enter like a lion and leave like a sheep. Is it something along the lines of that? I
Yeah.
can't remember how, or maybe it's a cat or something. I can't remember. There's a phrase where it's like, it's better to enter in humble and leave confident than to enter to that gym and think like, I'm gonna prove how cool I am, because you don't know how tough someone is. That like, you may think you're tough against the average person, but when you go against someone who's training every day, that's the experience I had whenever I went to my first actual jiu-jitsu like gym. I was like, whoa, like I'm being tied in pretzels here. I have no idea what's happening to me at all. I just felt like completely helpless. And I was like, it just kind of like levels you out and makes you like realize like, oh wow, there's people out there that have it makes you exposes your vulnerability, and it makes you realize like it gives you like a less of a cockiness, you know, like you can't hang around that and continue to be cocky.
I was one of those people that did come in cocky, and I was humbled pretty quick. But
What was an experience where you were humbled? Can you remember any particular one?
not anything really in particular, but I will tell you, leading into my first MMA fight, our like we didn't really have many. I was like me and Cody were the only active fighters, and Cody was on a little break. Man, for about probably 6 months, all my sparring rounds were just against Cody, Matthew, and Brent Walter, and I just got the shit beat out of me for about 6 months, and then they offered me this MMA fight, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I think I suck. I'm like, I haven't won it. I haven't won a sparring round. I don't even know if I want to fight. And they're like, we're pros though. They're not going to be on our level, you know. Like they're not only pros, but they're high level pros.
Yeah, they're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, so for context, I think. I mean, like, so I trained at Ryoma for a while, and I think it was like 6 months. And, you know, like, Brent, I think, is maybe around what my weight class would be, but Cody is probably much lower than my weight class. And so, like, normally, if two people are going up against each other in, like, a wrestling match or a boxing match, and someone is, like, drastically has way more reach or way more weight than someone, they should have a pretty large advantage. And I remember, like, it was like open mat, and me and Cody were wrestling around, and I felt pretty helpless. Like I was like, I don't really know what's happening to me, but I know I just keep getting taken down, and I don't know how he's doing it. But it was so surprising. It's like, because like, you know, normally you would think that like someone who's taller or has like a weight advantage would have an advantage, Not even close. Not even close. I was getting my ass kicked the entire time. And but that's why I think jiu-jitsu changed my life so much, is because I used to have nightmares about, because I had gotten beat up a lot in school. Like, because I wouldn't really care if a girl had a boyfriend or not. Like, I was like, if I like her, like.
Hey, soccer's got a goalie, but you can still score.
Yes, that's so true. and so that happened a lot to me, where I was getting beat up for that particular situation in particular, and so I would have these nightmares of like where I would be getting into a fight and like my hands wouldn't work. Like I would try to punch and they would go really slow, or like I just felt like so stupid and like I couldn't like move right, or like I tried to run away and like couldn't run. After 2 weeks of jiu-jitsu, I have, like, this was like decades I had this. Like, never again have I had that dream. After 2 weeks of jiu-jitsu, it just like totally leveled out my head. I felt confident, and I didn't feel like I could like necessarily like I was tough. I didn't feel like I ever wanted to fight anybody. Like I would never want to fight anybody. I feel like I'm a very peaceful person, but I mean, like, I'm restless in my way of like, I like business and I like moving fast. I like doing lots of things, but I feel peaceful as in like, I want peace with all people. I don't actually want to like, I would never want to hurt anybody other than maybe like, I enjoy watching the sport of fighting out and it's interesting.
Yeah. I feel like how you were saying, like, people who, like, fighters are usually like, just got like a casualness to them and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Bob Carter. He owns Ryoma. He's part owner. Yeah. He always says, people who know how to fight do not go around looking for fights, and that, like, yeah. And I feel like that's true for the most part, because if you're ever out at a bar or anything, like, the guy who starts a fight at the bar is someone who's usually insecure, and he's like, oh, I'm going to pick this drunk dude, boost my ego. Like, a lot of guys get in fights with guys just to boost their ego. Like, yo, I beat the shit out of this guy, so they can brag to their friends and stuff. The people who can fight, they're already confident. They already know they can fight. Like, there's actually even, like, a study, like, if you see, like, these bodybuilders and stuff, they are always trying to make themselves look bigger. But then you see bodybuilders versus MMA fighters and stuff. There's like these guys that look like nerds, like just beating them up, And I feel like that's another thing. Like, MMA fighters are comfortable enough to, like, they don't have to look tough or anything, Like,
yeah, there's such a huge difference between like trying to put on appearance and then just like being that thing that you're trying to be. I've heard this thing. No, tell me if this makes sense. So I've heard this thing. It's like there's two different modes of living your life. There's two different modes of things. There's this having mode and this being mode. And this having mode is like I gotta have something like. I'm thirsty. I have to have a drink,
Yeah.
And so, but then there's this other thing like a being mode of like I need to be something. So like maybe like I need to be responsible. I need to be confident. I need to be calm. I need to be kind. And sometimes people will confuse the two, and they'll think that, like, say for example, I need to be confident. And so someone will think, oh, I'll drink a beer and that will make me confident. Yeah. And so they'll confuse this having mode with the being mode, and they'll get those two confused. And so like, or they'll think like, oh, if I get this watch or I'll get this car, that'll make me mature. Or if I get really big, that'll make me tough. And they'll confuse this having with the being mode. Well, when being tough or being calm or being kind, it doesn't necessarily mean like that you have to reach out there and have something that's like outside of your grasp. It's more about just like something internally about who you need to be as a person. It's not about something external that you need to grab at. It's something that you need to cultivate from within yourself. And I think that's something that fighters who are in the game do really well, is they learn how to be what some of the people are trying to have. And they found out how like I know how to be strong. I know how to be confident. I don't have to try to build up some big facade to act like I'm something that I am. because I already know that I am, and it doesn't matter to me if someone thinks that I'm not, because I know that I am, and no one could take that away from me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no one could take away from you the hours you put into the gym. So if someone looks at you and says, man, look at that guy, he looks whack, he looks like a wimp, you know it's like, dude, you don't even know the hours I put into the gym. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what fighters have, where it's like, that's where they get that zen quality to them.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like most people, they don't know. I mean, I feel as a fighter, I'm used to being in just like stressful situations, so I know myself a little more in a way. Like I know how I'm gonna react and stuff. Feel like these guys who have never fought really and get in bar fights and stuff, I feel like in the back of their mind they kind of want to test themselves a little bit and see how they would do. Well, we get enough of testing ourselves in the cage, and training all the time, sparring. I mean, I would not be nearly as calm as I am now if I didn't find MMA. It's really changed my life, man. It's my biggest addiction at this point.
That's great.
I gotta lean off it. I mean, I'm in moderation on this. I only drink out of fight camps.
Yeah, yeah. And that's great though that you found something to get addicted to. For you, that's fighting. For me, that's art. And I think we need us humans. Everybody needs that thing to see. Do I have what it takes? We need that challenge, and if you don't have a proper thing to apply that to, maybe it'll work against you, like the guy who's at the bar looking for the fight. But like for me, my challenge is I'm gonna do this giant wall in front of a bunch of people, and they're all gonna see it in progress, and maybe someone is gonna laugh at it. Maybe someone's gonna call it stupid. What if I mess up? What if I draw it wrong? And then so there's all this challenge, and so I'm like, maybe I'll try a bigger wall. I'm scared of heights. Maybe I'll try something that's up really high. And so like I think everybody needs that way to challenge themselves, or else you'll feel like if you don't have something proper or something healthy to do that in, you'll find an unhealthy way to do that. And I think that's the difference between like someone who's maybe happy or unhappy with their life is someone who's really satisfied with their life or happy with their life has that thing where they feel like they have a good, proper way to challenge themselves and to grow. And it sounds like you've got that through fighting, and that's really amazing.
Yeah, and like how you were saying with fears, like, I mean, man, when fighters sign that contract, man, like, my first thought when I took that first fight was like, what if I get knocked out? What if my record's 0-1, What if I get knocked out in front of all my friends and they make fun of me or something,
That's massive stakes.
Yeah, and I'm like, what if I'm somebody's highlight reel on YouTube? I really don't want to be that.
Oh, my God.
I really don't want people throwing that in my face all the time,
Yeah.
And I never got in a fight close to home up until, like, May.
Mm-hmm.
And, going into that, I was finally just, like, I came to the, like, in my head, I was like, I finally just relaxed. I was like, because I was nervous because there was going to be, like, a lot of people there for me and stuff, like, for that fight. And
People that knew you?
Yeah, they had never gotten to see me fight live. Nothing like that. Like, they bought pay-per-views, but they never been to a fight. And I fought in Bridgeport. So I was like, I'm the hometown guy for once. I'm not that asshole anymore, I'm not the away guy no more. But, yeah, feeling that, I mean, going into that fight, like about 2 weeks out, I finally just calmed myself down. I was like, at the end of the day, these people who are here, I mean, they just came to watch me. It don't matter if I win or lose. Regardless, at the end of the day, they're going to ride with me, And my coach really helped me, taught me through that mentality too. Brent, he really helped me with that. And going into that, I was just like, win or lose. I feel like that's when I can fight more freely too. Is when I'm not afraid of consequence. I'm not afraid of nothing.
That's the key to life right there. If you're not okay, so there's this it's like a Hindu book. It's called the Bhagavad Gita. and it's a book about. I'm sorry to the Hindus if I pronounced that wrong. I'm not a practicing Hindu. I've just read the book, but it's Krishna is saying something along the lines of, you have to go into the battle where you're going to let the outcome be up to God. You know, it's like the outcome, like that's whenever you're truly free, is whenever you could go in and release the possibility of the outcome up to whatever is happening, and then you could just have it to where you're, whatever it is that you're doing, you're giving it your all, and you know you gave it your all, and you know you gave it your best. And when you do that, the outcome doesn't matter as much, because what's happening is either way you're going to grow, either way you're going to learn in this life and the next. And that's something that I think is so important, is to have that detachment from the outcome, because it's so easy to be like, but man, if I lose, like the Marcus Aurelius had it where he was like, if you're an Olympic wrestler and you're going to train every day and you're going to get beat up and beat up and beat up, and then you go and then you train your whole entire life, and then you go to the Olympics and you wrestle and you lose, and you're okay with that, you are meant to be a wrestler. If you're not okay with that, then you're not meant to be a wrestler. And I think that's kind of what it's like, right? You know, it's like you have to be able to relinquish that outcome and say, I'm just going to do it my best. I'm going to do it for the love of the sport, for the love of the art, and I'm going to grow and learn regardless.
And I mean, I feel like, honestly, you know, like I do it for myself and my like character, you know, like I want to test myself. If somebody beats me, and it's weird, even in wrestling, like I have always felt no anxiety going against a really good guy. Wherever, MMA, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, I feel zero anxiety going against really good guys compared to if I'm going against a guy who I think is less skilled than me.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like, oh, what if I mess this up? I'm not going to look like how good I actually am, you know? And, I mean, I feel like going against the best competition possible, that makes me able to fight. Like, I don't care about the outcome. If he beats me, he beats me. He's a good fighter, you know? Where versus if I beat someone I don't think is as good as me, well, now I can't get over that, you know? I mean, I'll get over it, but...
Yeah. It's like a lose-lose, though. You know, it's like, for example, if you're going to go beat up a little kid, it's like, that's a lose-lose. If you get beat up, you lose. If you win, you still lose, because what the hell are you doing beating up a little kid? You know, it's like, you have to pick your proper challenge. I think that comes back to what we were saying before. Like, human beings need a proper challenge, and we need to test ourselves and see what we're made of, because we all have so much tremendous potential that's just like bubbling underneath the surface, and who knows what people could accomplish when they put their minds to something.
Yeah, and I mean, man, I feel like fighting is just how, like, anxiety. It's like, how do you react to these things that are just thrown at you, you know? Like, how am I going to react when them cage doors lock? Like, your first fight is the worst going into. I mean, going into it for me, I was terrified going into my first fight. I'm like, I really signed up for this right now. Like, I'm really going to get locked in a cage door with another guy. And we're just going to fight. And, you know, and I mean, it's just, you got to get used to it eventually. I don't feel any anxiety before I'm in a fight now because,
Really?
I mean...
No anxiety?
My last fight I did a little bit because I was defending the belt. I didn't want to lose my belt. I didn't want to lose my undefeated record right now. And that really had me, like, I wish that I wasn't afraid of that. I wish I would have went out and did things differently because I tensed up and stuff. I think that I would have been better on the feet this fight, but I think nerves did get to me a little bit versus, like, the fight for the belt. I'm like, well, it's for the belt, you know? Whatever happens right now.
Yeah, there's nothing to lose then. But then when you have something to lose...
Then when you have the belt, it's like a different mentality. It's like, I don't want to lose this thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Because when what do they say? The hungry wolf hunts best. You know?
Yeah.
At the top, there's only way up. The only other way is down or stay there. You know, you can't go up once you're at the top.
and I mean, I don't believe I'm at my ceiling or anything, but
Yeah,
I mean,
but if you have the belt
Yeah.
and that, you're at the top of that
Yeah,
particular
that-
ceiling
yeah.
until you break to that next level and you got that next league or whatever that would be.
yeah, and I love New Line Cage Fighting. I think they're a great promotion. You know, like they.
New Line Cage Fighting, that's the one you're fighting for now?
Yeah, that's who I have the belt for at 145. I'm trying to set up a champ versus champ, 135 versus 145. So, Lucas Siebert, if you see this, let's make it happen. And, I mean, New Line's been good to me. I mean, they promote a lot of my... I mean, they promote the hell out of my fights. They always got pretty badass fight posters, too. And, I mean, hell... Elijah Thacker, the commentator, he wears my shirt.
Yeah,
when
what
I
did
fight.
you think? Whenever after that fight, he says, "Hold on 1 second," and he unbuttons it and he shows you he's wearing his shirt. What did you think whenever that happened?
Well, he's done it twice now.
So you saw it coming the second
Yeah,
time.
I knew it was coming. At first, the first time, I was like, is there something wrong with the fucking mic or something right now? I'm like, what's going on? Then I see him unbutton his shirt. I see the Fireball Kid shirt.
So for people who don't know, after your fight, the commentator comes out to interview you, and he's got like, I guess, a button down over top, I guess, to remain neutral, and then afterwards he reveals to you that, like, bro,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. He's
Yeah.
got your shirt on underneath.
And, man, he was mad because the first shirt I did charge him because, I mean, I'm trying to make money, you know? I'm a struggling artist.
Yeah.
And,
I feel you, man. I'm gonna buy. I'm sorry, I don't have a shirt yet, but I will buy one next time you drop.
hell yeah. I might
mean,
have one for you. I might have an extra one.
Hit me up to design one for you too. You know?
Oh, hell yeah.
I've been known to draw things from time to time, so.
Yeah, Elijah is actually the guy who named me the Fireball Kid. So he was getting on me on this podcast without me on there, and he's like, I name all these people, give them such great nicknames, and then guess what? They charge me $26 a t-shirt. He's like, just kidding, I love you, Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like shots were fired there, so I felt like I had to give him a shirt for free after that, you know?
Did you give him one for free?
Yeah, well, he never showed up to weigh-ins when I was going to give him his shirt.
You had one, but he missed out on his shot.
Well, then at the fight, I was supposed to bring it, and I forgot it in Cody's car, but I'm mailing it out to him.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's nice of you.
Yeah, he was like, well, it's about time. He's like, I should be in on this 50-50. I'm the one who gave you the nickname, you know?
He's looking for royalties.
Yeah.
So how do you go about a merch drop? Because I haven't done a merch drop yet. I want to do one. How do you go about it?
So I go through the fitted joint, which is, I mean, they're real. I mean, my first design, I literally just told this guy.
Is that a franchise or is that just something locally?
Locally.
Mm-hmm. It's like a local T-shirt company.
I don't know if you know. It's down there where Dunham's is. It's in that plaza right beside it, right next to Subway. But yeah, my first shirt, I went in there because Cody goes through them for his fights. Mm-hmm. So I knew like they could hook me up with something, and I was like, I need a design for some fight shirts. And they were more than happy. They're real big MMA fans, so they're always more than happy to help. And he was like, well, do you have a nickname or anything? I was like, the Fireball Kid. And he was like, well, what do you want for the design? I was like, well, I'm really big into peacocks, like. And I'm like, I don't know how he was gonna make it work. Well, he made it work for my first shirt. It was pretty well.
Tough shirt. And so this is who designed this one? Is that them again?
This actually Fitted Joint, yeah, did make these shirts, but
I like that they got the like the red around the side.
Yeah, that's how I was planning it. I was a
Nice
big
touch.
CM Punk fan back in the day.
This
When he was
WWE.
when he was WWE, and he always had like the shirts like this. So New Line Cage Fighting came out with this emoji for their YouTube channel for their members that they can use. So I seen that. I messaged Keith, the promoter. I was like, "You got to let me put these on some T-shirts and sell them." And he was more than happy to give it to me. But yeah, the fitted joints still. The last design I really liked. I want to use that more, but I had to go with the emoji at the time, for this.
Yeah, switch it up. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the fitted joint, this is all credit to them of what they did with these shirts. They're pretty, they always do a good job.
That's amazing. So what type of plans you got for the future?
Champ versus champ fight.
Champ versus champ fight. So that's 135. How you gonna cut weight for that? How does that work to drop down the weight class?
I am willing to move down, but I think that he wants to move up.
Really?
Yeah,
what does he got to do? Just eat a bunch of extra food?
Nah, he's probably cutting weight too.
That doesn't make sense. I'm lost. You gotta explain that to me.
So, and where fighters fight is not their walking around weight. I will tell you that. I will weigh in. My last two fights, I've weighed in at like I've weighed in 144 exactly. I probably step in that cage at least 155. I'm probably up close to 160. Which is a weird thing if you think about it. Because I'm going to fight this guy who probably walks around about the same weight as me. We're both going to cut about 20 pounds to get down to this weight the day beforehand. Then we're just going to gain it all back and basically fight at the weight that we walk around at.
That seems really inefficient.
Yeah, actually, I have learned to enjoy the weight cut. I don't really enjoy it, but I look at it as like a spiritual journey or something, Like I'm testing myself, How far can I go? I ain't gonna lie, the night before weigh-in's always the worst, though.
Why is the night before weigh-in the worst?
Oh, shoot. My bad, I didn't hit that. But the night before weigh-in is always the worst because that's when I will, the way I cut is I do a water load where I'll drink 2 gallons of water a day. And that's all I drink is water. And I'll start that like 10 days out. And then once I get to about Wednesday, I will cut down to 1 gallon. Then Thursday, I will cut down to 1 liter of water, which is like I have to drink that before 4:30 or so that day. And I'll cut out sodium once I get to about Tuesday of fight week. Sodium is the worst thing to cut out. That is like, I got this sodium-free hot sauce that I thought was going to be life-changing because everything sucks without sodium. Literally, all you can eat without sodium is like, I don't know if you ever heard of the Mrs. Dash seasoning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It sucks, man. You cannot eat I look at the Mrs. Dash seasoning in my house and I vomit every time I see it.
Because of your trauma with weight cut.
Yeah. And dude, for a while I couldn't even eat grilled chicken for a little bit after a weight cut because it's literally just chicken breast, and you got to start cutting out the ounces. I got a scale where I have to weigh the ounces of chicken I'm eating at a time. But it's that with Mrs. Dash seasoning and this no sodium hot sauce. And I'm just trying to eat it as soon as it comes out of the oven, just trying to get it down real quick just because I know that I need something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I'm gagging trying to eat all of it. Like, I'm like, man, this sucks. I'm like, I think I'd rather starve right now. But I still get it down. And
So the reason for sodium is, I guess, to flush out the water?
well, yeah, what you do is you get your body like pissing a lot when you're getting like all that water in you. Then when you're cutting out sodium, your body's not holding on to anything. So then when you cut out the water, your body is still full to where it needs to pee all the time. So you're still peeing stuff out, and your body's not holding on to anything with the sodium. So you end up dropping a good bit of weight from that. But
So essentially you're dehydrating yourself.
yeah, but you trick your body into not knowing it's dehydrated up until the end. I mean, you're actually really overly hydrated when you first start it, because the 2 gallons.
2 gallons of water a day is a lot of water to drink.
Yeah, my first like time doing that with the water loading, I'm like, 2 gallons. This sucks. I feel bloated all day long. I've never drank this much water in a day. Then by the end of the cut, when you can't drink that water no more, you're like, man, I really miss the days when I could drink 2 gallons of water right now.
So you can't drink water at the very end of it?
I don't drink water from the last sip of water I can take is that on that Thursday, the day before weight cutting, which is about like 4:30 at the latest, which is I got to sip on a liter all day long. And I mean, and then all I do the day before weigh-ins is I'll eat like a 2-ounce piece of chicken with the god-awful Mrs. Dash seasoning and maybe some god-awful no-sodium hot sauce now that I found it. And,
So why don't you just call the other fighter beforehand and say, hey, you guys just want to fight at a higher weight class and just not do the weight cut? Like, is that an option to do that deal and just call the fighter and say like, hey bro, like, I know we're going to fight. We're both going to try to cut this amount of weight, but let's just fight at our normal weight. And so we don't have to go through all this and we could go in and feel better.
I would rather go through it because I know I know I'm good at handling it. I don't know how.
It's like a game before the game to test to see if you got it.
Yeah, I know that I can handle. I've been cutting weight since as far as I can remember with wrestling. And stuff.
So you learned that from wrestling.
Yeah, well, wrestling I was doing a lot more unhealthy cuts where I was basically just malnourished in wrestling, but
your coaches now probably have a lot better approach to it. Like they probably have it down to a science.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it took me a while to get it. I eat more during a fight camp going into that cut than what I do when I'm not in fight camp. And it's crazy because the weight comes right off of me. It's like I get my metabolism going a lot more. I'll eat 4 times a day, but I'll eat real light and I'll eat real healthy. And I guess my body, since I'm always feeding it, it's got nothing to hold on to, so it loses everything quicker.
Have you ever heard of intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I have heard of intermittent fast. I used to just fast when I was wrestling. I'd eat like 1 meal a day or so, but man,
That's intermittent fasting, yeah.
It sucks. I mean, now that I'm like on like my diet that I am, if I wasn't working out as hard as I was, I would fast probably because it's easier, but as much as I train and stuff, I mean, my body constantly needs to like get carbs in it and all that stuff. So, it is a job to eat 4 times a day. I feel like when I'm in fight camp, I'm just constantly cooking food all day long. But
Dude, you're gonna make it so big. You're gonna have a chef cooking gourmet meals for you.
Yeah.
They're going to be chopping it up. You don't even have to worry about cooking anymore. That's going to happen.
If only, man. That'd be nice right now. If there's any chefs out there that
are willing to come donate some time.
Looking to be volunteers.
To do their charity work.
Support your local fighter.
Yes. Support your local fighter. Support your local artist too, people. Come on now. Yeah.
Two struggling artists right here. Come.
Yeah. Hey, we're not struggling. We're thriving.
He's
What
not
are you
struggling.
talking-
I'm poor. He's not struggling, but
oh, come on now, Chase. We're both thriving. Look, we're doing what we love for a living, right?
yeah.
Come on, you're going to school. We're drinking some Budweiser. We're sitting here talking on a podcast in this beautiful space.
Hell yeah.
This is only a temporary situation. It's only up from here. And man, you've come a long way. It's really amazing. And we're both from somewhat the same town. I mean, I'm from Cumberland, but I've lived in Lonaconing for a while.
From Dagestan, Maryland.
Dagestan, Maryland. It's really inspiration. I mean, I love watching your story. I love hearing your story. I love watching you come up. It's inspiration, man. I mean, I think more people need to see this because I know whenever I was young, like, I didn't have hope. I didn't know that people could, like, break out of not knowing what to do with themselves. And if I would have seen people do something with themselves, I would have had more hope and realized it was possible. I didn't know it was possible until I was, like, in my 20s. And, like, my whole childhood just kind of, like, I was just kind of, like, bouncing about aimlessly, like, not knowing what to do with myself, and a lot of it kind of sucked. But then, like, I saw some people who had made it out of, like, the struggle, and some people who had done it. I'm like, and that, like, hit me. I'm like, oh wow, you could do that. I want to do that too. And then seeing other people do it, that gave me the opportunity to, like, go out and do it myself. Gave me the inspiration, and so for people who see you doing that, coming from a small town, start, like, you started off your first boxing match. Yeah, sure, you had some struggles with it, but you went out and you faced your fears and you did it. Now you're a fucking belt holder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel I've been cursing this whole entire time, and you haven't said one bad word.
I've said a few, I think.
You've, like, had, like, perfectly clean speech. Are you like a priest in disguise or something?
I'm a professional.
You're a professional. I know. I'm sorry, Chase. I could have the editor take these out.
It don't bother me at all.
Okay, hell yeah.
My virgin ears.
Yeah, I've heard you talk outside of this microphone. I know the things you say.
I've never said anything profane in my life.
I'm calling bullshit right now. I've heard Chase Thomas say some wild things.
Just get a few of these in me. You'll be entertained.
Yeah. All right, Chase. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, being the first episode in this new studio. Whenever you're preparing for your next fight, we're going to have to come back to promote that. And then you're going to have to come back again to celebrate your next win, because you're definitely going to win, bro. I know it.
Hell yeah. I hope so, at least, man.
So once again, real quick, for everybody who's listening, who's made it into the deep end, if there's anybody still on here, where is a good place to keep up with you, to follow what you're doing, to see, like, if anybody in this area wants to see, like, I want to see Chase, I want to keep up to date with him, where do they go online to follow you and keep up to date?
Instagram _Chaseweiser _ Facebook, wait for it, Chase Thomas. And that's about my only pages. I don't get on that Twitter stuff or nothing, you know.
Hey, that's easy. That's straightforward.
If you're looking to train, come to and you're from the area, come to Ryoma Academy. If you're in Frederick, go to Bowerhouse MMA. Those are my two gyms, and I'm there all the time.
He's there all the time, kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, trying to at least.
Yeah, trying to. But all right, well, thanks, Chase. I'll see you later, everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
You guys probably have to pee, huh?
I have to pee so bad. You want to go first?
Oh, you can, man.
Okay.
Oh, shit, that was... Oh, fuck, I thought I didn't have a beer, dude. That one was full.
Yeah.